Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Let's be real for a second. The Minnesota Vikings have been playing chess while the rest of the NFL is playing checkers. While every other fan base is panicking about their team's off-season moves, the Vikings are sitting in a war room, calmly pulling levers behind the scenes, setting up what could be the most explosive off-season transformation this franchise has seen in years. And the clues have been hiding in plain sight. It started with the bombshell dropped by ESPN's Adam Schefter that sent shockwaves through the entire NFL world. The Vikings informed veteran running back Aaron Jones and defensive tackle Javon Hargrave that, barring a trade, both would be released at the start of the new league year on March 11th. Just like that, gone. Two familiar faces out the door, clearing a combined $18 or $65 million in desperately needed salary cap space. Jones saving the team $775 million. Hargrave another $10.9 million. Cold? Absolutely. Necessary? Without question. Here's the dirty secret the Vikings don't want their opponents to know. They were sitting a staggering $44 million over the $301.2 million salary cap when this offseason began. That is not just a hole. That is a crater. And yet, instead of panicking, Minnesota's front office has been methodically, almost surgically, going to work. The Jones and Hargrave releases were just the opening act. What comes next is where it gets really interesting. Because behind every great magic trick, there's something even bigger happening while everyone's distracted. And according to Alec Lewis of The Athletic, the Vikings met with right tackle Brian O'Neill's representatives last week to gauge the possibility of a contract extension. Think about what that means for a second. O'Neill is currently scheduled to count $23.1 million against the cap this season. If you extend him and restructure that deal the way teams do to push money out and create breathing room, you suddenly have tens of millions of additional dollars to play with right now. Mix that with the Jones and Hargrave cuts, factor in potential restructures of other big contracts like Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jonathan Greenard, and Minnesota can realistically position themselves to be active, very active, when free agency opens its doors. The question everyone is asking is simple: what are they going to do with all that money? And the answer, if you've been paying attention, is written all over every move they've made. The Minnesota Vikings desperately need a running back, not a decent one, not a veteran on a discount deal hoping to squeeze one more year out of their legs. They need a genuine game changer, a weapon who can transform what has been one of the most frustratingly inconsistent rushing attacks in recent memory. Last season was borderline painful to watch at times. Aaron Jones fell off a cliff due to injuries. Jordan Mason had his moments, but teams started figuring him out. The run game that was supposed to complement J.J. McCarthy's development looked more like an anchor dragging the offense underwater. Minnesota averaged somewhere between 2 and 4 yards, a carry on far too many drives, and that simply cannot happen again if this team is serious about competing. Enter Devon Achane. If you have not been watching Devon Achane play football, you need to stop what you are doing and go pull up some highlights right now. This man is not a running back. He is a problem. A 24-year-old, track speed having, defense breaking, absolutely electric problem that the Minnesota Vikings might just be able to pull off the greatest heist in recent offseason memory. ESPN already named the Vikings as one of the primary trade fits for the Miami Dolphins speedster, and while the conventional wisdom says Miami won't deal him, their new front office and coaching staff reportedly want to build around him, the NFL has a funny way of making the impossible possible when the right offer lands on the right desk at the right moment. Here are the facts. Devon Achane just came off the best season of his career, rushing for 350 yards on 238 carries, averaging a jaw-dropping 5.7 yards per carry, the highest mark in the entire NFL. He added 67 receptions for 488 yards and scored 12 total touchdowns. He is heading into the final year of his rookie deal with a projected market value sitting around $12 million per year on a new extension. For the Vikings, whose new offensive coordinator Frank Smith was literally the man who helped develop and deploy Achane in Miami for 4 seasons. This is not some cold business transaction. Smith knows this player inside and out. He knows exactly how to use him, exactly how to weaponize his ridiculous top-end speed, and exactly how to put him in positions where he becomes impossible to stop. The trade cost is real, but it is not as terrifying as people think. The Houston Texans just acquired David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions for a 2026 fourth-round pick, a 2027 seventh-round pick, and an offensive lineman. Using that as a baseline, a third-round pick and some additional day 3 compensation could get this deal done. The Vikings even have a card to play. Jordan Addison as a sweetener could make Miami's eyes light up, especially if they're in full rebuild mode and hungry for young receivers. When you consider that Achane on a $12 million deal paired with Jordan Mason gives you arguably one of the most dangerous backfield combinations in the NFL, the math starts looking very compelling very fast. Now, here is where the poetic justice angle gets so good, it almost feels like a movie script. Because while Devon Achane represents the blockbuster trade option, free agency just delivered Minnesota an equally mouthwatering target on a silver platter. Kenneth Walker III, Super Bowl LX MVP, is about to hit the open market. Yes, you read that correctly. The Seattle Seahawks, who just won the Super Bowl behind Walker's spectacular playoff performance, 135 yards rushing in a 29-13 dismantling of the New England Patriots, 313 total yards, and 4 touchdowns across 3 postseason games, chose not to apply the franchise tag to their star running back. According to ESPN, Seattle is unlikely to use the tag, making Walker an unrestricted free agent when the new league year opens. He joins an exclusive and rather embarrassing club of only 4 players ever to win Super Bowl MVP and start the following season on a new team. And the Seahawks reportedly told him to go test the market, suggesting they won't pay him top dollar. Here is what the football world is sleeping on. Kenneth Walker III, 25 years old, is not just good. He is the kind of player who gets better as games get bigger. Over the final 3 regular season games, he averaged nearly 6 yards a carry. In the playoffs, he was absolutely unstoppable. He became the first Seahawks player since Marshawn Lynch to post back-to-back 100-plus scrimmage yard games in the playoffs. He ran inside, outside, broke tackles, caught passes out of the backfield, and simply refused to go down when the game was on the line. His projected market value sits around $9 to $10 million per year, according to SpotRack. For Minnesota, landing Walker would be both a football upgrade and the single greatest act of revenge in franchise history. Think about this. Seattle took Sam Darnold, a guy the Vikings developed, believed in, and then watched walk out the door, and used him to win a championship. If the Vikings turn around and poach their Super Bowl MVP running back, bring him to Minnesota, and use him to fuel a deep playoff run of their own, John Schneider might literally retire on the spot from sheer humiliation. The entire state of Minnesota would erupt. Viking fans have waited a long time for a win that tastes this sweet, and Kenneth Walker could be that win before a single snap of the 2026 season is even played. Now let us talk about the rest of the running back landscape, because free agency is absolutely loaded this year, and the Vikings are not without options if the 2 big fish prove too elusive. Breece Hall got franchise tagged by the New York Jets, which stings because outside of Devon Achane and Kenneth Walker, Hall was probably the most dynamic option available. That door is closed, at least for now. But the list of available talent still runs deep. Rico Dowdle had a breakout season in Dallas before teams started game planning specifically to slow him down. The question is whether Dowdle in a better system, with a stronger offensive line and legitimate receiving threats to keep defenses honest, becomes a different player entirely. Pair him with Jordan Mason, give him room to breathe, and he might recapture that early season magic that had everyone talking. Travis Etienne is another name that keeps popping up, though his connection to Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville makes a return there feel more likely than a move to Minnesota. Isaiah Pacheco and Kenneth Gainwell round out a tier of affordable options for a team that might not have unlimited resources even after all the cap gymnastics they are about to perform. But here is the bottom line. Jordan Mason is already in the building. He can be the reliable physical presence who picks up the tough yards between the tackles, churns out the 4-yard gains that keep chains moving, and gives the offense a physical identity. What this team is missing is the complement. The guy who makes defenses hold their breath every single time he touches the ball. The player who turns a 5-yard dump-off into a 40-yard touchdown because you simply cannot catch him once he gets into space. That is Devon Achane. That is Kenneth Walker, and the Minnesota Vikings are plotting to get one of them. If this happens, and make no mistake, the dominoes are falling in the right direction, the impact on J.J. McCarthy's development cannot be overstated. Last season, McCarthy was left holding an offense that could not establish a consistent ground game, forcing him to be the answer to every question. With a legitimate bell cow back in that backfield, suddenly the play-action game opens up. Justin Jefferson, already one of the best wide receivers on the planet, gets to run routes against safeties, cheating toward the line instead of sitting in coverage. Jordan Addison has space to work. The RPO game that Kevin O'Connell has been dying to unleash becomes a genuine weapon instead of an afterthought. Screen passes become touchdown threats. Checkdowns turn into first-down conversions. The entire offensive philosophy transforms. This is not just about adding a running back. This is about changing the identity of this football team. This is about the Minnesota Vikings deciding once and for all that they are done being a team that almost gets there. They are done being the team that loses Darnold and watches him win a ring somewhere else. They are done averaging 2 yards a carry in critical moments. They want to be physical. They want to be explosive. They want to make defenses pick their poison and be completely wrong regardless of which one they choose.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 2,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.